It's time for another WrestlePlanet news update, as a match between Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega has been teased. We have more clues that hint towards Kevin Owens being AEW bound, and Triple H has undergone heart surgery following a cardiac event. All that and more coming up in today's video, but first... This week, Pro Wrestling Illustrated released their annual PWI Top 500, which ranks the best male wrestlers in the world, with a certain AEW star coming out on top. Last year, then AEW champion Jon Moxley was at number 1, but he has now been dethroned by none other than Kenny Omega. Whilst we won't be discussing the entire 500 wrestlers, let's take a look at the top 10 best male wrestlers today, according to Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Going from 10th up to 1st, we have Rich Swann, IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Shingo Takagi, Finn Balor, Will Ospreay, Jon Moxley, Kota Ibushi, Drew McIntyre, WWE Champion Bobby Lashley, WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns, and finally the real big dog, AEW World and AAA Mega Champion Kenny Omega. Now, just like any ranked list, there is bound to be some difference of opinions, so make sure you let me know your top 3 in the comments down below. CM Punk returned to AEW Dynamite this Wednesday to address the audience following his win against Darby Allin at this Sunday's AEW All Out pay-per-view. Punk would take to the mic to thank Darby and Sting, and would say that getting in the ring again was like riding a violent bicycle, and as they say, once you learn how to ride a bike, you never forget. Punk would also shout out Aunt Linda, who was at ringside, who helped raise the children of Brian Pillman following his death. Linda's story was recently told on the Dark Side of the Ring series on the Pillman episode. Punk would ask the crowd who they would like to see him face next, with chants for hometown stars Brian Pillman Jr. as well as Jon Moxley being prominent. He would then be interrupted by Taz, who was on commentary for the night, who would point out that Punk had name-dropped members of Team Taz during interviews with the media and asked him to keep their names out of his mouth. Punk would respond by saying, "I'll tell you what, because I have known you for a long time, because I do respect you, send Starks, send Hook, send me Hobbs. And listen, check it out, all 4 of you, beat me if you can, survive if I let you." And that last part is of course what Taz used to say during his days in ECW. As Punk headed to the back, he would come face to face with Powerhouse Hobbs and Hook on the ramp. It seems one of the 3 Team Taz members will be Punk's next opponent, with him likely then working his way through the group, which will likely happen on TV over the coming weeks. The group contains some good young talent with big futures. At least with Hobbs, we know that he's good in the ring, and Starks is good in the ring and on the mic. I'm pretty sure that Hook is yet to step in the ring for an official match, and if his first match is with CM Punk, that would be quite the introduction. He seems like a popular figure on social media, and his eventual first match has turned into somewhat of a meme. Elsewhere on the show, we saw more fallout from the AEW All Out pay-per-view, this time involving the Elite, Adam Cole, and Bryan Danielson. The Elite would come to the ring and reintroduce their newest member, Adam Cole. Cole would claim that AEW wouldn't be the best professional wrestling company in the world if it wasn't for the Elite, and said that the Elite is now complete. He also revealed that he will make his in-ring debut next week on Dynamite, where he will battle Elite Hunter Frankie Kazarian. AEW World Champion Kenny Omega would then take to the mic once again before being interrupted by Bryan Danielson. Omega would tell the rest of the Elite to give them some room, with them then leaving the ring. Bryan then grabbed the mic from Omega and asked the crowd if they would like to see the 2 wrestlers in a match, and of course this led to yes chants from the Cincinnati crowd. Omega would point out that it doesn't work like that in AEW, referring to the ranking system, and then Bryan would tell Omega, "Let me get this straight. You're the greatest wrestler that's ever lived. Nobody is on your level. I think you're afraid to take this match because I'm better than you. I'll kick your head in and you are not on my level." Bryan then locked his foe in a label lock, which led to Omega tapping before the Elite would get involved, breaking up the submission. All 3 members of Jurassic Express, Christian Cage, and Cole's opponent next week, Frankie Kazarian, would rush to the ring to even the odds. This segment gave us huge hints that we're on the verge of a Kenny Omega-Bryan Danielson match, as AEW continues to give fans matches that they never thought possible just months ago. Whilst it hasn't been confirmed, the match will likely take place at the Arthur Ashe Stadium show in Queens, New York, at the the AEW Dynamite Grand Slam event. The show is set to hold the biggest crowd in AEW history, breaking a record currently held by AEW Rampage The First Dance inside the United Center in Chicago. And speaking of AEW Grand Slam, 2 matches were confirmed for the show last night. The first of which will see MJF take on Brian Pillman Jr. in singles action. This follows MJF's promo last night where he ran down Pillman's hometown of Cincinnati, as well as his aunt Linda, who raised him. He also called Brian's mother Melanie, who has dealt with drug issues in the past, Methany, which led to a brawl between the two. Despite help from Varsity Blonde's tag partner Griff Garrison, the power of MJF's heavy Wardlow was too much for the duo. The return of Cody Rhodes to AEW television was also confirmed, who hasn't been seen since early August at AEW Homecoming. Cody Rhodes battled Malakai Black in Black's first AEW match, with the Dutchman defeating the American Nightmare in just 5 minutes. After the match, Cody teased retirement from wrestling before he was laid out by Malakai. The rematch is now set for Grand Slam, with Cody set to return to the ring. And I guess that retirement didn't last so long. The real reason for Cody's absence was to film the second season of the Go Big Show, a talent show in which Cody is a celebrity judge. Cody was absent from AEW last year for the tapings of the first season, which led to Brody Lee beating him in dominant fashion, with Brody winning the AEW TNT Championship in the process. Cody would return a month later to defeat Brody to win the belt back in the now infamous dog collar match. It'll be interesting to see if Cody's return leads to him getting his win back this time around. Malakai has been running through the Nightmare family since the Cody win, beating Brock Anderson, Lee Johnson, and most recently Dustin Rhodes, with a returning Cody set to be the final boss. And quickly, just before we continue, make sure you drop a like on the video as it helps me out a lot, and make sure you subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss any upcoming wrestling content as we head, hopefully, towards 100,000 subscribers. But now, let's press play on the video. WWE superstar Kevin Owens has once again added more to the speculation that he will soon be AEW bound. This week, Owens posted a now deleted tweet which listed the coordinates for the famous US monument Mount Rushmore, the name of a stable that he, Adam Cole, and the Young Bucks were a part of in PWG. The group ran from 2013 until 2014 and disbanded when Owens joined WWE. This tweet followed AEW's signing of Adam Cole, who reunited with the Young Bucks, joining the Elite at AEW All Out this past weekend. Since we covered the story yesterday, Owens and the Young Bucks have changed their Twitter locations, further hinting towards a jump to AEW for the former Kevin Steen. Kevin's location is now listed as almost there, whilst the Young Bucks have changed theirs to there. This suggests that wherever the Young Bucks are, i.e. AEW, is where Owens will be soon. It's worth noting that the Bucks have changed their location back to Your Head rent-free, although luckily eagle-eyed fans were able to catch it before it was switched. In a 2018 interview, Kevin revealed that his WWE contract expires in 2023, but it has now been revealed by Fightful that it now ends in January 2022, in 4 months' time. This follows the restructuring of his contract during the pandemic. In the same interview, Owens did say that he'll likely end his career in WWE, although it's worth remembering that this was before AEW even existed. We will have some more Kevin Owens news later today, so make sure you stay tuned to the channel, where we will also bring you the ratings for this week's post-All-Out edition of AEW Dynamite. And finally, WWE have released a statement confirming that the company's executive vice president, COO, and occasional wrestler Triple H was in hospital last week to undergo heart surgery. The company sent out the following message to the media as well as on their website, which read, Paul Levesque, aka Triple H, underwent a successful procedure last week at Yale New Haven Hospital following a cardiac event. The episode was caused by a genetic heart issue, and Paul is expected to make a full recovery. Whilst it's unclear exactly what this cardiac event was or what specific surgery was needed, thankfully the issues appear to have been dealt with and Hunter seems to be on the road to recovery. Heart complications can of course be very dangerous, so it's good to hear that there is some good news coming out of this. Many names across the wrestling world have sent out their well wishes to the game on social media, and I'd like to send my prayers out to Triple H and his family, particularly his 3 daughters, and I wish Paul well in his recovery. And make sure you check out my video where I discuss 10 times that AEW wrestlers rejected WWE, including Bryan Danielson and the Elite.